Welcome to my tips and tricks video for Grounded. For those who have known, I have recently just finished a series over World Mode, which for most people is a pretty high achievement. And of course, I want to share some of that knowledge for you guys. I have come up with a total of 20 tips, 10 that are incredibly helpful, and then 10 that are somewhat helpful that will just provide just a little bit of boost to your gameplay. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Tip number 1, utilizing your pets. In Grounded, there are 6 different kinds of pets you can obtain. You have the baby red ant, baby fire ant, baby black ant, the aphid, the gnat, and the weevil. These all have different benefits, and some are ranging from an attack boost, or you can use more dandelion tufts, or you could even lose hunger and thirst slower. They will also carry stuff for you. So if you are using an ant, they can carry 20 stacks of things, and if you are using a different pet like the aphid, gnat, or weevil, they'll carry 10. If you want to acquire one of the ants, you have to feed a sandwich to the ant queen of the variant that you're looking for, and then for the aphid, weevil, and gnat, you have to give them a slurry. Tip number 2, and this is also branching off of tip number 1, if you can befriend every ant queen that there's in the game, you've got the black ant, fire ant, and the normal red ant queen, they will help you level up a mutation called humant. Humant will allow you to be invisible to other types of ants in the backyard. So if you can get to level 1, you are essentially invisible to the red soldier ants, level 2 becomes the black soldier ants, and level 3 becomes the fire ant soldier ants. This becomes essential if you go to the upper yard, because all the fire ants that are up there will automatically be upset. Plus, there are a couple of spots in the backyard where ants are just naturally hostile. For example, on the porch, you're going to see the black ants that will immediately be hostile unless you have this mutation active. Tip number 3, always have a food active from the cookery. These will actually provide you a huge number of benefits, one of them being you always get health over time. Now, it's not a whole lot, but it will provide you a little bit, and that could give you an edge in the battle. There are a ton of different benefits you can get from these foods, and each different food will give you a different option. Keep in mind that the level of the recipe also determines on how long and how powerful the buff is. So if you are getting a tier 1 recipe, you get 12 minutes of that perk. If you get tier 2, it's 16, and tier 3 is 20. Another benefit for having a cookery food active at all times is that you all are going to be constantly full because you don't deplete any hunger as long as you have this active. So if you have, say, 4 tier 1 foods, that'll be enough to last you through a mild or medium difficulty day. Tip number 4. Killing an enemy with a spicy or salty weapon gives you different foods. So let's say you're killing an aphid, and if you kill it normally without the spicy or salty weapons, it'll just drop the raw meat. However, if you kill it with a spicy weapon, you'll get the cooked variant of that food. And if you use a salty weapon, you will get the dried variant of this, which can be really useful for a lot of different reasons, as some recipes require you to use dry meat in making better stuff, so this saves you a lot of time. And if you use, let's say, a katana or a spicy infused weapon, then this will allow you to get food on the go. Tip number 5. All infected bugs are weak against fresh weapons. So let's say you're going after the infected wolf spider, who is known to be one of the toughest non-bosses in the game. If you can bring any weapon that I recommend is slashing or the mint mace that is fresh, this will take it out with no problems at all. Likewise, any orc enemies, so once you've unlocked Dr. Windows Lab and you are on the way to do the Java-matic, you're going to start to see orc enemies. All of these have a 50% weakness to sour weapons. So if you have any of that sour, my favorite would be the Acid Edge. This will be the best weapon to use, especially in the first original save. Once you get a new game plus, I'd recommend using other weapons once you can get past level 9. Tip number 6. Stuck creatures will increase loot drops drastically, and the mounts for certain bugs will also increase damage of certain enemies by 25%, which are great if you're trying to get specific drops from enemies or drops that are rare. Another great benefit for having these active, especially with the mount, is that if you have a raid on the base, which you only typically have one enemy at a time, this will be a great way to just boost your passive damage for about 15 minutes. These also work if you're going after the mixers, which most mixers are going to be single enemy types, or you can pick the most dangerous enemy and then use a mount to do some passive damage over time, which would be really good if you're trying to do a difficult one, as there are some pretty hard ones in the upper yard. Tip number 8. Are you having trouble finding lint? Well, if you go to the undershed, there is actually a couple of spots that have a ton of lint if you can go on top of the pipes and the wires. If you go onto the pipe that leads you to the lab, you're going to find an area just about halfway over the hole, and this is going to have about 8 to 10 clumps of lint for you. If you move it slightly away from the lab, over a large plank of wood, you're going to also find another patch of lint. And I've gotten runs that give me roughly 120 lint per run to the upper yard. So this is actually a great way to get it if you can't find enough for lint rope. Tip number 8. Are you having an issue with poison damage from multiple sources of bugs in the yard? Well, methoditism is a super helpful mutation which can block up to 75% of poison damage from many sources, providing you the benefit of hopefully taking less damage during a fight from, let's say, the Black Widow, Broodmother, and then the affected Broodmother, which all can deal poison damage. In order to unlock this, you have to kill up to 10 wolf spiders. If you kill 1, it gives you 25% reduction, kill 5 gives you 50% reduction, kill 10 gives you 75% reduction to all poison damage as long as this mutation is active. It'll make it so much easier to deal with some of the bosses or even harder spiders in the game. Tip number 9. As a reminder, there are the food items you can get cookeries, but there's also smoothies. Smoothies are a great way to get a lot of health in an instant, as well as giving you a tiny buff to a particular skill. The benefit for having the smoothies is that you can have more than one at a time, while you can only have one food active at a time. But this way you can get more than one drink at once. So if you're looking for a damage reduction, you can do the human food. If you're looking for extra attack, you can do liquid rage, and these will all stack as long as they're active. If you want to have a longer duration, add some gum. If you're looking for a healthier drink, aka extra health per consumption, add a muscle sprout. These are all super helpful, especially during bosses that last for more than 2 minutes. This can give you a huge edge on these fights. Tip number 10. There is a way for you to be able to breathe underwater for over 12 minutes. The items you're going to need is a tadpoloka pudding, which you can get from the Cookery. You'll need the liquid gills and the fluid flippers smoothies. You'll need to have the bubble helmet and the fin flops active. Lastly, you're going to want to equip the Martine mutation. This will increase your speed and your oxygen by about 10 to 15%. With all of this, you should have a total of 12 to 13 minutes per resurfacing. So you can essentially go 1, really fast, but 2, you never have to go up for at least 30 minutes. It makes it super easy to deal with any kinds of koi fish or any other threats in the water. Now, those are the 10 tips and tricks that I would mainly use in my world. However, there are 10 smaller tips that I also want to introduce, and they're kind of small, but they are all meaningful. The first tip is to place a water container under a juice box, as this will let juice drop from the juice box into that container every single day so you can refill it in your canteen. Is it really helpful? Not necessarily, but it's really good if you can put one at different locations and then run around, because it will give you a little bit of a food buff if you drink this, let's say from your canteen. Number 2, you can refill your canteen with water from the labs. So those water stations that are located at every single facility, you can put water into your canteen and also drink it yourself, so that way you can get a little bit of extra resources. Tip number 3, shields will lower your damage by 20%. They are really helpful for resisting strong debuffs from enemies. However, you will deal less damage, so use them how you wish. For me, typically I will use the Mint Mace or a 2-hander for most enemies, so this is kind of one that I can avoid. But for those who are using, say, the Toenail Sword, this is going to be a useful tip that you're going to want to know. Tip number 4. The critical hits that you get from enemies has a hidden mechanic, which if an enemy is about to attack you, but you can get that hit on them, it'll actually prevent them from attacking and will pause them for any animation so you can get extra attacks on them while also dealing an extra amount of damage. Keep in mind, this does not work very often on a boss as they have a very, very high stun meter. Tip number 5. While Natural Explorer is a great buff to have while exploring, the moment you enter battle, this buff will go away and essentially tie you for one extra mutation that you could be using for something else. So if you're running around the yard, definitely use it. You can go up to 50% faster if you have this active, and as long as you don't engage an enemy, you can keep it going by. If they attack you, that's fine. Just don't block or attack and you can go right on by. If you're planning to go into a fight, honestly, I would just not have this active because it won't give you a huge buff at all and can take time even after you finish a fight if you are engaged by other enemies. Tip number 6. My personal favorite armor set in the game is the Black Widow armor, as for every kill that you get a massive health boost and attack boost for every bug you kill. This is very helpful, as if you're fighting an enemy that has summons, for example the Broodmother in this video, you'll see that they are going to spout out the Spiderlings and the Orweaver Juniors. These aren't horrible bosses, they're not hard to kill, nor the minions, but if I can kill a minion, then it'll give me an even bigger boost against the enemy, as this will 100% restore my health from 0 to 100. So this will save me in a huge pinch, especially since in this New Game Plus, some of these spiders have venom, so this is a great way to counteract it without bandages. Tip number 7. Some bosses have a scream attack that lowers your attack and energy output, but you can block this with a parry attack. This is essential for a quick fight as there are dangerous fights. Example would be for this Broodmother fight. I believe every fight it'll go for 3 screens once it hits 60%, 40%, and 20% roughly. If you don't get the block, you get a massive attack debuff, which you can avoid by constantly spamming, or once it goes through that roar, go for that parry block and you should be okay. If you don't get it, this makes your fight so much longer. They also just made this recently, where in the next update coming up, you can now block the Mantis screen, which in the past wasn't possible, but now it is. Tip number 8. Never make items in the workbench if you can dry it with the jerky rack. You can make the pupa leather, berry leather, and the dry grass in the jerky racks while saving you a lot of resources. Tip number 9. You can speed up clay digging by blocking with your shovel between each swing. Now this isn't going to save you too much time. This is really helpful if you're, say, in the top right with the stump, where you can get 200 clay, but it takes forever because of how slow the animation is. Tip number 10. Duplicating items can be really expensive, but if you're duplicating weapons and armor that are upgraded, the cost of duplication is only the base item plus 100 raw science for every level you upgraded. So let's say I want to duplicate the rusty spear. By itself, it's only 2100, and then if I want to duplicate this level 12, then it would only be 33, since the cost of it is 2100 plus 100 times 12. So it makes it a lot easier to level up things up, especially since if you go up to level 9, this costs you a lot of globs and jewels. But once you go past level 9, then it costs fusion crystals, which cost you 20,000 raw science per crystal. But those are my tips and tricks for Grounded, and I will be trying to make a little bit more of an in-depth video again about these tips and more in another video coming up pretty soon. But this is just the basics of what I typically like to follow, since these have all really helped me in some kind of way, and I hope they help you guys too. If you liked the video, leave me a like. I will be coming up with another series of this pretty soon, but I hope that I can bring you guys more content over tips and tricks, because this game is huge and there are a lot of things it doesn't tell you. So until then, I'll see you in the next video.